Wind it up, Rob.
Okay, we're just going to
close.
We're just going to close it with a Q&A.
Yes.
Favourite drink?
I like a mixture of orange juice and a grapefruit juice put together. I don't know if people have tried that, but you get the sharpness of one and the sweetness of the other and put together. It's my favourite drink.
Why isn't your favourite drink crude?
I don't drink champagne. I give it to my friends.
Favourite food?
Shepherd's pie.
Favourite movie?
Probably Who Shot Liberty Valance with James Stewart and John Wayne, but it would only just be ahead of Paul Scofield in A Man for All Seasons. Very different films, but what's the connection? Great stories, beautifully written scripts, well acted.
Favourite song?
I think Cole Porter's I Forgot to Tell You How Much I Loved You. It just brings me to tears every time. But then Cole Porter is magic.
Favourite book?
Favourite book? Not easy. I'm a great admirer of Steinbeck. I am a great admirer, of course, of Charles Dickens, because he's such a wonderful storyteller. But if you want to read a short, I almost can't call it a novel, of Mice and Men by Steinbeck is staggering. As a two men who are both out of work in the Depression, how can you go on with that for 130 pages, still want to turn every single page? It's cliche to say Middlemarch by George Eliot, Bleak House by Charles Dickens, everything Jane Austen wrote, but it's fair to say, the reason it's a cliche is because it's fair to say. They are wonderful. They are all wonderful pieces of storytelling. But I think in the end, Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo, it's pretty hard to beat.
And your prized possession?
That's a tricky one. One individual thing that I have.
That you value above all others?
I confess I don't think there's, because I'm hesitating, it's because I don't think there's one particular painting or sculpture or... I love my home in the country, the old vicarage at Grantchester. Mary has transformed it from being a wreck when we bought it 30 years ago into a beautiful house. So probably the old vicarage Grantchester.
What has been the happiest day of your life so far?
Well, you have to put marriage on one side because that again is a cliche in itself. But I think probably the day I ran for my country, it was because I was never a good enough athlete to get anywhere, and to have finally been chosen to run for my country was a very dramatic day in my life. Yeah.
And the worst day?
I think when I learned that I was £400,000 in debt at the age of 34, which is the equivalent now to being 4 million in debt. Yes, I see you raise your eyebrows, but you didn't at 400,000. Equivalent to being 4 million in debt, and my wife and I both believing that I'd never pay that debt off and I would never recover. That was a pretty bad day. I think you will, of course, have expected me to say the day I went to prison, which is ridiculous. I mean, there are far worse things than prison. If you had cancer, if you're in debt you can never repay, they're far worse than prison.
What is your biggest regret?
Not being mayor of London, I suspect.
Have you ever taken drugs?
Never. And when I say I've never taken a drug, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I like a little red wine occasionally. And I'm the wrong generation. You're asking the wrong generation. You've got to ask a generation below me.
What would you say is your best quality?
Loyalty.
And your worst quality?
Impatience. I'm so impatient that I get everyone cross with my impatience. And I still haven't... I'm a little better, but I'm still impatient.
Do you pray?
No.
What do you think happens after death?
I have no idea.
Do you believe in God?
No, I do not. When I say I don't believe in God, I must rephrase that. I often wonder if there is something we don't know about. But it worries me that this God must be a God for so many different religions. So for a long time I did believe there was a God. But then I looked at all the other religions who all believe there's a God. And they're all fighting each other. So what is this God doing about 50 religions all fighting each other? and it's got me worried. So yes, I did believe there was a God. I am now more sceptical.
I mean, are you scared of death? Does it hold any great
No,
fears?
I've had a wonderful life. I intend to live another 40 years. I've got many more things to do yet, Rob. I shall be at your memorial service and saying a few words on your behalf. So no, if I die tomorrow, I could not complain. I've lived a very, very privileged life.
One very last question. If you imagine you were writing your last novel and you were the hero of that story, how would it end?
I'd have scored a century at Lord's and beaten the Australians.
But what would be the final achievement for your character?
The ball would go over the boundary when we were 9 wickets down and get the final runs. You're not getting me on that one, Rob. Try again.
That one, mind the mic. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And if you don't read the book, I'm never speaking to you again, because Alison will ask over the phone, should you ever dare to ring me again, the first thing she will say is, what did you think? Yes!
I've read all your others long before we met.
Yes, you have, yeah. I hope you'll enjoy this one. Take it on.